Hey there, everybody. David Jackson alongside Hall of Famer Steve Brown, Randy Jackson on the Mass General Store sideline. Welcome into Saturday evening quarantine episode number 6. We are at the midpoint of the season, or we're getting ready to start conference play. One of the two. Not exactly sure. Brownie, how you doing tonight, man? What you got in the cup?
Buddy.
Got a little Long Island down there? What you got?
I got a little Jefferson's and ginger ale and a Master's glass. A little classic touch for you.
I gotcha.
In a Master's glass.
Did you get that at the Masters? You buy that at Kmart?
Actually got that at Augusta. Hello, friends.
I'm glad that you're authentic in your fandom there. So, Dad, what are you using to?
I'm just doing some good old water. Did a lot of bike riding the last 2 days, so I'm rehydrating tonight.
Well, good to have you with us, Lance. And I've got the A&B. This is an A&B Beach Mountain Powwow IPA here.
Wow.
We're still trying to get A&B as a sponsor. I don't know exactly what Danny Wilcox is waiting on here. I mean, we've displayed his old case here, but a little collab beer is a good one here. So, so how's the week been? Brownie got it looks like you got a little bit of laundry hanging on the line.
Well, Randy hurt my feelings last week. I did a lot of, pre-planning, put the scarf up there. What is it, an old sock? So I figured I'd add a couple of old socks to the scarf.
It looks great, man. It's a great combination. And your display of them, I mean, if you can't make it in what you're doing, man, interior design is your gig.
Very symmetrical.
Yeah, beautiful.
I asked Brownie last week after we were done. I confirmed that he was shooting this in his living room, and one could judge that based on the number of photo frames behind him. But there for a while, I thought that was a shower curtain. I thought he was just hanging out in the bathroom. He had his socks up on the clothesline, and we needed some clarification. So you're in good shape now. Good shape. So anything of note go on this week?
No, not really. Had a pretty busy week. Still calling on contractors working outside. Most of the inside stuff is still slowed down. It's starting to break loose a little bit more. I think the next couple of weeks, depending on how everything goes, I think it'll ease back up some. So it's been pretty busy. Pleased with that.
Well, good. Dad, you got anything?
No, it's been pretty quiet this past week. Didn't teach any. Do that a couple times next week. Weather's been nice, so been able to get outside and enjoy some of that.
Well, cool. Well, it's App State graduation. This will air on Saturday. So it's App State graduation today. Luke Combs doing a concert, part of graduation, and they got digital graduation. So we don't have anybody here. There is nobody in Boone. Nobody for graduation, that is. So still kind of a little strange, but we hope that maybe soon we'll get some folks back here again. So
is it kind of strange driving through town with nobody around? I mean, it's kind of like it's a continuous break almost, isn't it?
Well, the students haven't been on campus since right after the first week of March. So they went out on spring break, then got the extra week, and then started digital learning the week after that. And then, the unspoken part of all of that is all the staff. Most of them are working remotely. So you've got, give or take, 4,000 people on campus that are working on a daily basis, vendors coming in and out, that kind of thing. So that traffic's pretty much all gone. They haven't brought anybody outside of essential services back to campus yet. Orientation's online this summer. Summer school's online this summer. App Summer's canceled. They just canceled Horn in the West for the year. We'll bring that back next year. So, a lot of the signature events are not happening. Highland Games is out this year. So, the hope is that the public gathering number can get high enough, hopefully toward the fall that some of the August, September, October things can come back. But right now, yeah, it's a little bit different, man. Friday afternoon, 5:30, rolled through the big intersection there at Wendy's and BB&T. And I got to say, I think I was the 6th car in line. And made it. I only had to sit through the light once.
Wow,
that's not usual for this time of year, especially on a graduation weekend. So
that's for sure.
So, but we're hanging in there. So, well, let's get to it. We got a lot to cover today. So I want to make sure that we've got the opportunity. Brownie brought us a sponsor, and I can't wait to give him the opportunity here. And just one quick second to break that down for us. But Brownie, I want to hear the recruiting story about this, because there's got to be one. I don't know how a fledgling YouTube kind of sort of podcast all of a sudden gets hats like you've got, but tell us about Soulsby's.
Well, these guys, I've known David Jenkins for a long, long time. I've been in this business about 22, 24 years, something like that, including 2 years in rental business, but they're out of Atlanta. But David's originally from the Asheville area. Soulsby's, they sell thumbs and all kinds of attachments for loaders and excavators. So they do a great job. And he and his outside sales guy, Lane Scroggins, are huge, huge SEC fans, football fans. We always talk football. And Lane has to be a Georgia fan. And then David is a big Tennessee guy. So they kind of clash a little bit there. Of course, Lane always tells me a story. He was on his living room floor, just jumping up and down, thinking Georgia's going to win the national championship. And Tua dropped the bomb on him in the cover 2 there, and David just started just wearing him out with text and emojis, and he's been a little bit depressed about that last couple of years. But other than that, and I think David Jenkins is excited about Tennessee making a little bit of a comeback, and they've had a really good recruiting year, according to him. So, some good guys. And I got some hats to send you guys.
We'll be waiting for those.
Yeah, I'll look forward to wearing them.
You need my address? You got that?
Yeah,
Is that in the Rolodex?
Have your people come my people.
I will. There was an interesting article that was written this week, speaking of Tennessee, about, and I forget who wrote it, but it was, the theme of the article was basically App needs to play Tennessee again so Tennessee can get rid of the Butch Jones taste. And I don't know, that'd still be a very good matchup there for the Vols.
No, I think it'd be about like us playing South Carolina, North Carolina. I think he's doing a better job recruiting. And, of course, Sean went there last year and beat them. It was that first game of the year that Georgia State went there and beat them. They got better and better as the year went on. And, he came from Alabama. He's got a really good defensive background and a great recruiting background. So I think he'll turn it around. It may take him a year or two. With Philip Fulmer in there at AD, I think that's a huge advantage for him.
Well, they handed out orange sweaters after that Georgia State win, from what I understand. So let's move on. We've got another sponsor, of course, that being Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Brownie?
It's a banquet beer.
Made sure we prompted you this time just to make sure we got through it. So we got a prompt in the email. It's a banquetbeer@gmail.com. This email just said, ask Brownie about the shrimp cocktail. So story time with Brownie. What is he talking about?
Well, back in the late 70s, the budget was not very good. And usually
this is pregame meal that we're showing on the screen.
The night before pregame meal on Friday night, we drive down, playing the Citadel, drive down to Charleston. And we always had history going to K&W, Piccadilly, somewhere like that at a buffet, and you roll in there with about 75 head, get out of 2 buses. And I've been playing pretty good that year. I'm thinking, you only get 1 meat, 2 vegetables, and a dessert. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to start QB, playing pretty good. I'm going to go for the extra meat. And Ernie Anderson, one of my buddies, we call him Stump, was behind me. He kept saying, Juice, you better not. I said, I'm getting a shrimp cocktail. So I got me a roast beef, shrimp cocktail, I think maybe some corn and some string beans or something, and a piece of pie. So, everybody else, I think 2 other guys may have got extra meat, so they saw me doing it. So that wasn't very good leadership. And anyway, I played like dog crap on Saturday. We get beat 24-23, one of the worst games I ever had. And we're in Justice on Sunday afternoon. Never forget it. My roommate, Andy Terrell, and I were getting ready for the 6 o'clock meeting. It was about 2:30, so we're trying to catch a nap, and the phone rings. And Coach Brakefield said, get your ass up here. I was like, oh, this ain't good. So I'm asking Andy while I'm getting dressed, ready to go, like, what do we do? What did I do? He said, I didn't do nothing. He'd asked for me. So I rolled up there to Coach Brakefield's office, and he commenced to chewing me out about being a bad leader. It's 1 meat. You got a shrimp cocktail. He got the receipt out, started telling me how much it was, and just making me feel terrible. And he said, on top of that, you played like on Saturday, which I did. So he picked up he knew what to do all the time. He picked up the phone. So I think I'm gonna call you mom and dad. The coach, no. I promise. No more trouble on me this year. Please put the phone down, because I knew if he called my mom and dad, I was toast. So I went back to the dorm, and Andy said, "What happened?" I said, "It wasn't good. I got lambasted over the shrimp cocktail." So that's that story. Not a good one.
So if you send Brownie any cocktail sauce in the mail, he goes into instant flashback mode. He just drops it, just runs up the street like crazy.
How was the K&W shrimp cocktail?
It was actually pretty good, Randy. It's kind of forbidden fruit, you weren't supposed to have it. Everybody's looking at me. I got a big old slab of roast beef, and I got a shrimp cocktail. Everybody's looking at me like, "How'd he get that?"
I like that you're down in Charleston and you get shrimp cocktail at the K&W. I mean, did you not have more options? I mean, I know Bubba Gump wasn't open yet, but there had to be something. Hyman's couldn't have been too far away.
Yeah, you got to do with what you got, Dave.
If Coach pulled out the bill, how much did the shrimp cocktail cost?
I think back in those days, Randy, it was like $5.95 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
So why didn't you just peel off the cash and say, "Here's your $6, man. Forget it"?
I'll be honest with you. Back then, I didn't have $6.
Hey, man, that was Blowing Rock money right there, is what that was.
Yeah, that's right. That was out at Shenanigans. But, Coach Brakefield had a way. He's really stern, and when he got mad, you could tell. I mean, he had smoke coming out of his ears. When he picked up that phone to call my mom and my dad, but especially my mom, I was panicking, and I pretty much stayed clean the rest of that year.
So Charleston seems to be a story where you get, or a location where you get into some things. I happen to remember during a rain delay one time at a baseball game hearing old Jim Morris talk about Steve Brown, the baseball player, which not a lot of people may know that you double dipped. You played a little baseball while you were at. He tells a story about maybe you leading a curfew break or something like that. And this was back when you guys were staying in the team rooms at Citadel. And he had a similar pick up the phone to call mom and dad type story. Do you remember much of that?
Oh, yeah. We had a rain delay, and I think about 4 of us decided to go out and, had a curfew. And I think it wasn't too bad. It had to be in at 10 o'clock. So I don't know how we think we're going to come up to a team room, which is above a bit. You got to walk up the steps right through a bunch of Army barracks, basically, where everybody's sleeping. So we come in there, and Coach Morris, I said, you lead, you go first. I was like, all right. I walk up the steps, and Coach, how are you? Well, how's the weather out there, Steve? I was like, it's okay. I was like, maybe he's going to let us by with this. Oh my Lord! The next day before the game, we're playing. It's like a spring schedule the whole week. We're on spring break playing down south where the weather's better. And before the whole team, he told us about leadership, and the whole time he's looking straight at me. I mean, it made me feel about 2 inches high, and I deserved it. But Coach Morris had a way too.
Did you get any shrimp cocktail while you were out in the forbidden trip there?
I don't think so. You know who was with me?
Who?
Yeah, when I say this, tell me what story comes to mind. Ron Vincent.
Oh, Lord. He had to be out there scalping tickets for some event in the future.
And the theme seems to be in all of these stories is this word that keeps coming up is leadership.
That's right.
What's the deal here? I mean.
And where was Beasley in all this?
I think Beasley was getting him a roast beef, and that was it.
He's not a rule violator.
And the bad part about it, I really feel like if I played good on a Saturday, it'll never come up. But
did Beasley
at least the shrimp didn't come up.
Went for the shrimp cocktail, then played awful.
Did Beasley go with the Jello with the bananas in it instead of the pie?
Yeah, he still does. That's still his favorite pastime. I tell you what about Ron Vincent, though. I'm glad to hear that you said that name. He actually emailed us not long ago at it'sabanquetbeer@gmail.com, and it just reminded me, I think there's a text that's permanently burned on my phone after all these years that says, hey, can you get Ron Vincent too? And it's usually sent about 14 minutes before a game starts. I think a lot of the times Brownie was sitting next to me. We're like, could you get Ron Vincent too?
We're coming at the prelude. We're coming past the end zone there, and I reach down and get a text, I mean, we're going up to the booth. It's 30 minutes for a kickoff. Ron's like, hey, can DJ give me 2? And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be embarrassing. We get to the booth, David, can Ron get 2? He said, Jesus Christ, are you serious? I said, he said,
So I called down to Teresa.
call it 10 o'clock? Can you not call it 10 o'clock in the morning?
No doubt. I called down to Teresa. I'd say, Teresa, she'd go, oh, how many does Ron Vincent need this time? Oh, man. Oh, the days. We're going to have to get into some Prelude stories next week because those some of the reactions that we had down there and interactions with people were just classic.
I've got one I thought about and laughed about all week. You know, we beat Richmond, great finish. And you remember how exciting the finish was. We already talked about the issues with the windows and all that and how cold it was. You remember the guy, David and Randy, he kept looking up at us and pointing at us and grinning. And we're like pointing back at him. You finally, after about 10 minutes, you go, you know that guy? I said, ain't got a clue.
Every time something good happened, he turned around and pointed at Brown like they were riding together. And they were like, hey, man, that's what we were talking about. And I was like, do you know that guy? No clue.
Never found out who it was?
No, not at all. If you're listening to this or watching it and you're the guy that pointed at us, please let us know.
Man,
so we can,
you're still the man.
Yeah. All right. So from the archives, we got one archival thing we're going to get into, little prelude to this here in just a second. Yard sale at the Big House this week. But before that, Brownie's been doing some research. He got asked an offensive line question that brought up a good, we got into the whole quarterback conversation last week or the week before, can't remember. And every good quarterback has to have a good offensive line. And it got us thinking about some of the best offensive lines that we've ever seen play. Brown, I know what you think of Scotty McConnell. It's somebody picking up blocks. But Scotty Moe luckily doesn't get in the O-line category. But as you think about O-linemen, what you got? You have like a top 5 or how you want to do this?
I kind of look at them at David as a group, and I think, I was lucky enough to start coaching in '86 and then the radio 2 different stints. The only years I missed were 99 through 2003. Came back, started working with you in '04. Worked for Brian, and that other guy for a year, 93 to 98. So, from '04 to 15, we were together. So I had a 5 or 6 year gap there, but I think that 95 and 96 offensive line crew.
Yep.
And I talked to Dave Pastuzik. You're looking at, Groover at left tackle, Sean Clark, the head coach now at left guard, Cadlib, remember him at center, Barbie at right guard, Pastuzik at right tackle, and Ballmer was at tight end. And those guys, I remember at Boise State, how impressed I was with Boise athletically. I was thinking these guys are going to be really good down the road. And you saw what Boise State turned out to be. And, of course, Appalachian kind of turned out to be the same thing at a different level. But those guys used to mash people up front. And that was back before we run the spread. It's basically, load right, G right. They were running the ball down people's throats. And those guys mashed people on the scrimmage. And the only people I think, when I was fortunate enough to go back and coach in '86 and '87, the more I look at it, I think the 95, 96 crew with Paz and that crew probably outdid the '86, '87 crew. That you had James Hardman, Mike Strickland, Terry Poore, Bob Bigger, Robert Joyce, Derek Graham playing the NFL for about 9 years. Steve Wilkes played tight end, a big athletic kid. When John Settle.
Did he play in the NFL? Did that, because we had the one Steve Wilkes played in the NFL.
I think he got free agent. Look, David, I don't know if he's stuck or not. He didn't play long, but he was a big athletic kid and would block. I mean, he was like a tackle at tight end. The year before, in 1986, had a kid named Russell Payne, and he was like a fullback at tight end, kind of like an H-back. And he got a look with the Denver Broncos, and then finally he got cut. But there were some guys back there, but it seemed like there was always one spot when Sparky was there in '86 and '87. Always like we'd have one injury, have one guy that was kind of inconsistent. We juggle a guy around, but that 95, 96 crew, they were just mashing people.
Well, the depth was always the thing, especially back in the 1AA FCS days. Yeah, you could get 5 together. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard to identify who was number 7 and 8. You know,
Yeah.
you feel like you could get 5 or 6 good guys, but number 7 and 8 were sometimes tough.
And when Sean Elliott, when we switched to a different style offense, you had a little smaller player, quicker, better feet, but not as big and bulky as some of these, you know, the older guys.
Yep. There were some there were some good O linemen through the championship era. You know, I always thought Matt Eisenhower was a guy that gets forgotten about now. He was probably one of the ones that kind of reestablished the offensive line as being the thing there for a while, because when Coach Searles left, you know, there was and Coach Elliott was really starting to get into that position. There were a couple of years in there where we just didn't run the ball as effectively. And then you get into 04 with the spread, especially 04, 05, 06, 07. You know, you had some guys in there, Scott Suttle, Brett Irvin's emergence there in the Michigan game, especially Eisenhower. And some great tight ends, Daniel Bettis, Nick Cardwell, a great blocking tight end. He's back on the coaching staff now. There were some guys. I remember watching the 95 O-line. Not the first game, second game I ever saw at the Rock. It was the Western Carolina game, 95, when the temperature dropped about 400 degrees from kickoff to the end of the game. That was the day after I got accepted at App. And I always remember that. It was a Satterfield touchdown to Otis Smith on the first play of the game. And that O-line smashed people. And you had Damon Scott. Scott Satterfield ran the ball a bunch that year. And that was an offense that could pound it out. And like you mentioned, traditional fullback type stuff and ran that way for quite some time. I always thought that Brian Metz was also a guy that always got underappreciated. Metz and Billy Young, Joe Patrick, Frank Leatherwood as a tight end in the 98, 99 years. I mean, that's been fortunate. And, we kind of go back to that quarterback conversation. Yeah, it has some really good O-linemen in there. There have been a couple of periods that it's gotten a little squirrely, but I think it's certainly back now, and it's a big reason why Evans went for as many yards as he went this year, and that's coaching. But I think, Brownie, you can probably agree that there's a development thing there too. I remember seeing a lot of those guys come in. Matt Eisenhower, prime example, didn't look like he was going to be an All-American offensive lineman. He got coached well, and he played hard, and he's well coached. But that kind of stuff makes a difference, the development of those guys over time.
I sure haven't been around as long watching all these guys as you guys have. I was a relative newcomer to the thing, but the thing that stands out to me is number one in the quarterback discussion that we had last week. For a quarterback, again, I'll go back to Armani and use him. For him to be able to do some of the things that he did, he had to have some guys on the offensive line that really knew what they were doing. And the thing that really impressed me, and I always hate to do individual names because you always end up leaving somebody out that after you're done, you could kind of kick yourself for doing. But the thing that I remember so dramatically was Sean Elliott. And I can remember before a game, while you guys were up in the booth or heading up to the booth after Prelude, watching Sean Elliott on the sidelines going through stuff with his guys. And I mean, it looked like a war on the field. I mean, they were really, really into it. And I think he just did such a fantastic job. And even with guys that weren't necessarily as sharp and maybe weren't the most talented, I think he got about everything out of them that he possibly could and just did a fantastic job at coaching them.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. With him playing there, and everybody knew how hard he played on the defensive line, switching over to the offensive line, as you said, Randy, he maximized everybody's talent, and everybody liked Coach Elliott. And a little bit of fear that he's going to get on you in front of everybody. That's always a good thing as an offensive line coach. And Coach Searles, I remember past Tuesday telling me if you made a mental mistake in the game, in the meeting, you're watching 2 hours of film, you made you stand up in the chair, and the whole time. And past Tuesday said, "Can you see my fat butt getting up there and been in that chair for 2 hours? That was brutal." We didn't make many mistakes. We want to be up there standing on that chair.
There's a reason why there were those staff meetings were always interesting. The chairs would fall apart on us in the middle of the thing because all these offensive linemen been standing in them. All right, so it's a good transition to get into this. This being the yard sale in the big house. Brownie, you remember much about this game?
It was hot, David.
It was hot.
It
It was hot. You're right. That's one of the things. So we thought, we did the whole thing with James Madison last week, and or a couple weeks ago. I forget. We did the Furman thing last week. That's right. And so we thought, we got prompted, hey, would you guys talk about Michigan? So I saved a file back in the day. I'm gonna have to screen share this again so we can let you guys hear it. I saved a file back in the day. It was the last 5 minutes of the Michigan game. Commercials taken out of it and whatnot. This is from basically the Mike Hart run all the way to the end. And so I figure we'd play through it and kind of talk through it a little bit and just kind of go to it if that's okay with you guys.
Good.
All right. Let me make sure the sound deal is done there. And all right. So we'll pick this up. This is I'm trying to think, roughly on the clock, maybe 5-ish minutes. I mean, I say last 5 minutes of the game, so it's roughly in the 5:30-ish mark, something like that. That'll take us all the way through. And I'll warn those of you App fans that might not remember all of the sequence of this. The first few minutes of this aren't real good for us. So just remember we won the game, okay? All right, so we'll go ahead and start this now.
Big smile on his face. And again, no matter what happens in this last 4:51, we've got a pretty good football team and a team that got better out here today.
I like how we're justifying
high formation
things.
behind Henny. Hart is the setback. It'll be a handoff. Hart. Left side run through one hole across midfield to the 40-yard line, trying to turn it down. Still on his feet. He's got one man to beat as he reverses field toward the 20, toward the 15, trying to sidestep past Wose and will work past him into the end zone for the touchdown. Mike Hart from the 46. With a 54-yard touchdown run to surge Michigan ahead.
You just look at those defensive players for Appalachian State, absolutely worn out. And what's caused it, the offense, pretty much in the second half. Michigan's come to play a little bit, and we've not done anything offensively to keep our defense off the field. They are absolutely worn slap out.
Why did he not play more?
Well, you remember he was having, was it a knee or hip, Randy? You remember he's on the bicycle a lot.
Yeah, I think it was knee.
In the second, third quarter, he got tweaked up. And I know one thing, we didn't do very good just stopping him. On that run, if I remember correctly, came toward the press box and cut back.
Yep.
And we missed 2 or 3 tackles. We had guys trying to arm tackle him in poor angles. And as I said there, we took bad angles because we were tired.
Yep.
You know, it really amazes me about that clip. And again, you got, 100,000 people there, so it's going to be noisy. But you heard the crowd noise there when he got that touchdown. They didn't have a whole lot to cheer about up to very many points of that game. So, I mean, I can remember from being on the field, that was the deal. Okay, it's done. We got this.
It was the exhale moment.
Yeah, that's right. And
that was a great run. He changed direction about 4 or 5 times, broke 4 or 5 tackles, and that's just a senior running hard right there after being upset.
Running after some shrimp cocktail is what he's doing.
32-31, Michigan leads. They're going for 2 here. Their last 2-point conversion didn't go so well. Henny actually fumbled the snap. Massey going in motion far side, 2 receivers off that way. 1 point Wolverine lead with 4:36 to go. Now Henny audibling with 4 left on the play clock. Will hand the ball off in the hands of Miner, and he slips down again. So the Mountaineers trail by 1 with 4:36 to go. All right, black and gold fans, it's time to dig down deep. Your team needs you for the final 4:36. We'll bring it to you right after this. You're listening to Mountaineer Football from ISP Sports.
I never thought about, until hearing that just now, how many points they left on the field in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Between the blocked field goal, 2 blocked field goals, and the missed 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and I remember, if I remember correctly, I mean, Miner had I think it was more like an outside zone play, and I think he had the corner, and he just slipped. We had a guy, I think, that may have had a chance to get him right at the goal line, but they had it blocked up pretty well, and he just slipped. And right then, if they get the 2-point conversion, that makes it a 3-point game.
That makes it a 3-point game.
Yeah,
yep.
Totally different.
Yep. Would have been 2 more points. All right, we're back. We got it. We got this was Coach Moore's EKG during the game.
Pretty good.
He's steady as a cucumber.
Yeah,
All right.
wasn't like that.
That's right. All right, so let's pick this back up now.
Ensuing kickoff taken by Coco Hillary with a full head of steam. He is tackled at the 26-yard line as he actually flies across the 25. Coco Hillary went airborne for quite a long time, got winded, I think, as he got hit. So the Mountaineers will have the football at the 26-yard line of their own territory with 4:31 to go. A team that's rushed for 146 yards today, 318 total offense. Michigan has surged ahead in that category, 410 total on the day. They lead by 32-31 with 4:31 to go. Each team has 2 timeouts to go.
See, the last 2 or 3 times we've had the football, David, defensive front has just dominated the offensive line. And I think it's because they knew we were going to try to get Kevin in between tackles. Now we're lining up 5 wide. Armani's got to make quick decisions and either throw the ball away or throw to the open receiver.
Armani in the gun, looking for someone, throwing that ball downfield, and it's picked. 43-yard line, threw it right into the hands of Brendan Engelman.
And T.J. Corman was wide open on the curl route.
So it was over right then, right?
Yeah.
It should have been.
Exactly.
Should have been. I remember that just being, and I mean, I think it comes across there pretty well. That was like the absolute deflating deal too, because you're thinking you're down 1, you got 4 minutes left. Maybe there's still a shot, but that was just like crap.
Somebody stuck the pin in the balloon there.
Yep.
And the bad part about that was one of the worst throws I've ever seen Armani make as far as taking a look downfield, reading the defense. And the guy made a pretty good catch on it, but he threw it right to him. And we're looking at each other like, what was that?
Yeah.
It kind of shocked us.
Yeah.
Armani just didn't turn the ball over like that.
No, not at that stage of his career. He sure didn't.
And again, he just led him like he thought T.J. was going to continue the route and run a square in. And just a poor throw right there. Got a little bit of a pressure, did a good job standing in the pocket, and just made a poor throw.
4:25 to go, and that one's going to be a tough one there for the Mountaineers. Down 1. Armani's second interception of the day. And another big play for the freshman out of Covington, Kentucky. All right, so the Mountaineer defense right back out there again.
At this point, we're thinking our defense is just wore out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it was, like you said, it was hot, and they're right back to it again.
25 to go. I formation behind Henny. Minor is the setback this time. Massey coming in motion. It'll be Henny on the handoff to Minor, going with the left side run in the middle of a pile, still trying to bounce off tacklers, and finally taken down from behind across the 40-yard line. About a 7-yard pickup. It's gobbled up from behind by Anthony Williams, the D tackle.
Anthony Williams.
Clock rolling. Michigan going to try to eke a little bit of time off the clock. Now an injured player.
And that's I mean, you have Hart run like from, here to Ypsilanti, and they throw Minor back in on the next drive. They kept doing that. And I mean, you're right. Hart, I know, was dinged up, but go win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this stage, yeah.
That was shocking to us. But I remember that when I looked down, you looked at each other, and Hart's back on the bicycle. Like he's tweaked something again at that long run.
Yep.
It is actually Minor. He's slow to get up. That'll stop the clock briefly. They've actually come out with the water bottles here. Somebody call a timeout? I didn't see any timeout called, did you?
I didn't either.
I'm always afraid of what we say in these spots right here.
4:15 to go. Whatever reason, the clock stopped. It wasn't Appalachian timeout according to the board. Second down and 4 coming up. Steve Brown, tough situation with 2 timeouts left.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the problem is, we're so tired physically, we didn't each, our guys got over, took their helmets off, got on the bench, took 1 sip of water. Quick change. Defense got to come back out.
Down to Randy Jackson on the Mass General Store sideline.
John Wiley hurriedly got the defense over, got them all huddled up, and really fired some instructions off to him. Then gave him the old good luck and sent him back out there. But he looked pretty animated in his description of whatever he wants him to do here.
Second down, good luck the rest of the way.
Any under center. Hart the setback this time. It'll be a handoff. Hart left side run, trying to get through the hole. Tackled at the 30-yard line. First down, Michigan. Got it good by 3 yards as he turned it down toward the near side. Tackled by Cam Spear, Jacques Roman, Pierre Banks. 4:09 and rolling now. Once the clock
It's amazing
starts.
that they got a first down after that and still lost this game.
Tell you what, no matter how this last 4 minutes goes, if we were to lose the game,
Dominating
we
the
start
line of scrimmage.
I want you to stop for a second. Think realistically what you're thinking about. Are you upset? Are you really upset that we lost?
There's some more of that justification
led
from
the
us.
most of the way. I mean, there are expectations, and then there's lunacy.
We're talking to you, MMB.
Oh, no kidding. Hart the setback on 1st and 10 from about the 30. Handoff into Hart's grass. Sidesteps one tackle. Corey Lynch hops on him from above at the 31. That'll be a loss of a yard as Hart's taken down. Lynch climbing the tower to bring down that bruising running back. Clock inside, 3:30 to go. Mountaineers with 1 timeout left. Michigan trying to be smart with the clock here and at least work themselves into a field goal pop. It's only a 1-point game.
You got to fight and scratch and claw and try to actually have one guy try to hold Mike Hart up and the other guy tackle the football and try to rip it. Try to create a turnover right here. Still plenty of time left.
Oh, yeah. 2nd and 10. Henny under center. Ball at the 30. Handoff into Hart's grasp. Left side run again. Tripped up inside the 30 at the 27. So a 3-yard surge. Brings up 3rd down and about 7. 2:55 and rolling. 6, we'll call it.
Man, my heart's firing again.
Just heard a Bobby Bozzo on the PA there.
54-yard Mike Hart touchdown run put him ahead.
You talked to Coach Moore, there were only about 22 players that played in this game, so I'm glad Bozzo was one.
Finally cashed in on a long run by their speedy back. 2:35 and rolling, 3rd and 6 coming up. A huddled Michigan team stands just behind the 30-yard line, now marching up to the line of scrimmage. White shirts on black pants ready to meet them. Mountaineers hopefully have a 3rd down stop in mind here. Henny in the shotgun, twin receivers out to his right side, Hart to protect off his right.
Oh, delay game.
And a delay of game call here against Michigan will back him up.
That's going to take him out of field goal range too, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Lloyd.
Lloyd Carr's not out of the woods just yet.
Yep. Well,
take the delay, make it 3rd down and 11.
And that extra distance with the trajectory that Gingell was kicking at.
And now Michigan will reset.
Not too good.
Isn't it amazing when you go back and listen to this, all the little things that really turned out to be big things?
Oh,
yeah. Brownie just mentioned watching him in pregame warmups.
Down toward the 2-minute mark. 3rd down at 10 from the 30-yard line. Henny in the shotgun, gets the snap, barely knew it was coming. Now he's got to do something with the football, fires it downfield. It's complete into the hands of Matthews, who catches at the 32 and will be stopped there. 7 yards short of the 1st down, 1:50 and rolling. Mountaineers holding on to that timeout, a 4th down play coming.
Well,
and
right
now they're going to take it. 1:47 to go.
That's another thing that was interesting is how many different snap issues did they have in that game? You know, you go back and think about how many times Henny had that thing right on his chest before he never knew it was coming.
And a lot of times, I mean, it was here, it's like a shortstop on a rocky infield. He was not comfortable. He had issues all day, as you mentioned, with the snap.
Yep.
First game of the season, too.
Right down the hash mark, and Henny never saw him.
Well, he got that snap early.
Yeah,
he didn't know it was coming.
And both of our defensive backs jumped on the outside route, and Arrington was running down the middle with his hand flashing wide.
Poor Gary was matched up on Jake Long. That was not a good matchup.
6 coming up here for Michigan.
The ball's going to be spotted on the
long day, right?
23-yarder.
There were a couple highlights in the first quarter. He just getting tossed around like a rag doll. But Gary was not a small guy.
He kicks the ball awful low, I noticed in pregame warm-ups. I mean, you know, chance to come in there and get a block, return, still plenty of time left.
No timeouts for the Mountaineers, 1:47 to play. Mountaineers have beaten Michigan on a few big plays today, mainly a 60-plus yard touchdown strike to give the Apps the first score of the game. Made it 7-7 early in the first quarter. All righty. It's going to be a field goal attempt. Ball spotted at the 33. Gingell on to do it from far hash. Kicking right to left. Good snap. Holds down. Kick's blocked. It's blocked. The kick is blocked.
Let it go. Let it go.
Mountaineers are going to let this ball roll into the end zone. Touchback, black
You were a little
and gold.
calmer on that
Goes
one.
back to the line of scrimmage, doesn't it,
Yes,
David?
I believe so. 1:37 to play. The Mountaineers blocked the kick.
Tell you what.
Oh, wow.
That
Quick
ball,
get that one. Not the one that Quick got.
Super level.
Foot.
Oh,
No.
yeah, no doubt.
No.
All right, folks, here we go. The Mountaineers down 1 with 1:37 will have the football at the initial spot, like Brownie mentioned, the 26-yard line of their own territory. One last gasp to pull off the shocker. Remember, only down a point. Get it in field goal range. And Julian Roush has got a pretty good leg.
It'll be interesting to see how loose Michigan plays.
They got
in the
so
secondary.
loud.
The key is we've got to
Right
protect,
away.
and Armani's got to make a quick decision.
Richardson in the backfield to protect Armani. Shotgun snap. Armani on the move. On the move toward the near sideline, up across the 40-yard line. Steps out of bounds at the 43. First down, black and gold. Clock stops on the escape out of bounds by Edwards with 1:30 to play.
Good, smart play there. Armani went back, like we said, had pretty decent protection. The pocket started breaking down. Didn't throw it away or throw an interception. Broke out of the pocket. Used his ability to dodge and skate out of bounds there at about a 15 or 20-yard gain.
Talked to Julian's dad down in the hotel lobby this morning when we left. Said special teams could come into play today. Boy, that could be the case. 3 wide, now 4 wide as Richardson splits out to the left-hand side. It'll be a pass in the backfield. Coco Hillary
Double
retreating.
pass, double
Now
pass.
Coco's going to try the double pass play. Still trying to shake out of a tackle
Cheap
and
shot.
finally gets pushed out of bounds at the 40-yard line. No flag coming in late. They wanted the double pass play there. You could see it set up. We saw that play a few times this week in practice, but it never quite got out of the bag. 1:22 clock stops. At least Hillary didn't get taken down in
Did a
bounds.
good job there, guys, not forcing it downfield and throwing an interception. Because
Yeah.
most people would launch it.
Yep.
That's a smart play.
Coco, man, knows when to break the cannon out. I'm trying to think, did he ever connect on a double pass? I feel like he did. Some point. Because he came to App as a recruited quarterback.
Yeah.
In 06 before Armani, emerged in camp, Coco was he was clearly thought to be the number 2. Clearly.
Tell you what, Coco made a great catch initially because Kevin Richardson came in motion and he was having trouble getting in between Coco and the line of scrimmage, and they had 2 secondary defenders with Josh Johnston trying to go deep. So
5 wide, 3 to the left on 2nd and 15 from the Mountaineer 40-yard line. Armani in the shotgun, gets the snap. Pressure coming, fires it off. Pass complete to Corman. Sidesteps 1 tackle there. He goes across the 40, pushed out of bounds at the Michigan 40-yard line. First down, black and gold. 1:15 to play.
Maybe the
what a
play of the
by
game right
TJ,
there.
because he could have gone out of bounds right there, David. Kind of stopped on a
Get
dime.
back and
The
look
receiver,
at it.
defensive back went past
He
him.
got a bunch
He
of
got about
extra
10,
yards on
15
that
yards
juke.
after that move.
Yep.
Michigan's got 2 timeouts left. The Mountaineers with none. 32-31 off near hash, moving left to right. The Mountaineers driving in Michigan territory down a point. 3 wide to the left, 2 right for Armani in the shotgun. 1st and 10, gets the snap. Here comes the pressure. The pass is complete to Badishon. Catches it for about a 7-yard gain. Mountaineers have got to move, actually more about an 8-yard gain there. Clock rolling inside. 103, 102, 101. But the Mountaineers at the 33-yard line. Shotgun snap to Armani on 2nd down. Quick pass out on the outside edge to Dexter Jackson. Couldn't get out. 50 seconds to
should
go.
be a first down, David. Should have.
Did he get the
Yeah,
first down? Yes,
yeah.
he did. Okay,
So
there we
Thanks.
go.
We got to get
Appreciate-
a play called.
appreciate
First
the
down
pickup
inside
on
the
that.
30-yard line, just barely.
Yeah, they'll stop the clock
Well,
while they move the chains. Go and get a play call, get a snap. Only lose about 5
I felt bad for Hans Badishon after this years later. He had a really good game.
Yeah.
But you never he's not one that you think of right out of the gate. I mean, caught a touchdown, and you
He was
just
always
never
pretty-
thought of Hans as
was
a
always
guy
pretty
that had a huge
consistent.
impact in
Yeah.
this.
He was always pretty consistent, It
Yep.
showed up every week.
Field goal range here, folks. 5 wide for Armani. Possess the football. Shotgun snap set to come. It comes to him, Armani,
Get
with
rid of it.
time. Now rolling out in the pocket. He's got a man open. He's got that pass.
Wow!
Coco at the 15.
Take care of the ball. Take
Stutter
care of the
step
ball.
to the 10. 5 down to the 4-yard line. Coco Hillary
Wow!
inside the
comes.
5.
There's
Clock
Rick Flair.
stops. Move the chains.
What a
Time
play.
for
I got
Let's go down to
goosebumps.
Mass General Store sideline reporter Randy Jackson.
Hey, I'm over in front of the band and the ASU fans. These people are going wild here. And by the way, Julian Roush is over at the net. He's loosening it up as fast as he can.
Time out, Michigan. With 30 seconds to play, we'll keep it right here.
Tell you, Armani did a great job, David. Number one, using athletic ability to get outside the pocket. And then when he threw that ball, my heart skipped about 8 beats because it was like a knuckleball. But it was perfect. It was right over the linebacker, and Coco did a great job.
Had 2 options, too. He had Coco in the middle, and he had a little bit lower percentage risk play off to the far sideline, but he checked that off, saw Coco. That's another sign of a matured quarterback.
I tell you what, Coco Chris did a great job. Hillary,
Coco
Chris. Hey, I'll call him anything right now making that big play. He did a great job of getting to the zone, and once he broke inside the 20, I was hollering, take care of the football.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
This is when it really was starting to set in, you know?
You can overstate the magnitude of what could
Like
be
Randy, I can remember being so nervous that
I don't know.
everything going through
Bobby
your
got a chance
mind.
to run it in once
What
and
could
then
go
pop.
wrong?
They trust Kevin Richardson enough to try to go inside. You know what they may do, David? You know, they're right here. They got to remember, just like Tim just said, they don't have any timeouts, number one. If you get to the middle of the field, give Julian a better angle, but you got to make sure the field goal team's ready to run out. So I don't know if you want to rush it that much.
All right.
Right now, don't
Oh,
they?
boy,
Field goal
folks.
right now.
Here we go. We're going for the field goal right now. 30 seconds to play. Julian Roush to give the Mountaineers a 2-point lead if he makes it. He's at the 14-yard line, so a 24-yard field goal, just like every day. Good snap, hold by Hunter Stewart. The kick is on its way, and it is through the uprights. Through the uprights, the Mountaineers have retaken the lead with 26 seconds to play.
Could be time for the yard sale in the big house.
34-32, still 26 seconds, and a Michigan team with 1 timeout to go. Hold everything here. We're going to stay right here because, quite frankly, I think we're a little bit too nervous to throw it to a break right now. Oh, my gosh. Folks,
What?
there has been an incredible testimony given to what Appalachian State football is all about today.
You go back and look at the effort these kids put in. The coach has done a fabulous job. You got to go back and start questioning some moves on Michigan's part. You go back and look. They tried the field goal. It was about a 43, 44-yarder. Their timing all day in special teams has been terrible. But you know what happened? They had the delay
Charles
game
Barkley
penalty,
on
put
them
back
there a
in that
little bit.
situation. They go for 3rd and
terrible.
5, and we talked about that. Just got pushed out of field goal range. That's the play of the game, I think, right there.
Absolutely. I think this team might walk home tonight.
I'm shaking like a freaking leaf. It's like I'm putting for the Masters.
Oh, man.
Good thing you got your cup.
Now I know why Phil Mickelson's been so many times. And I'm not even left-handed. Oh, here we go. 26 seconds left. A 2-point Mountaineer lead. Now a lot of weapons here for Michigan.
And it comes down to special teams right here, too. I mean, I don't kick it deep to Spears.
You were Nostradamus in this deal. It's almost like you watched it before. You're all like, well, his kicks are low. That special teams is going to come.
That's why
Like you
Brownie
played
got the big
football
bucks,
before.
man.
25. I don't know. Sears, I don't kick at him. I'm having trouble with names
Need a
here.
drink.
I don't kick it deep to him at all.
Get that Masters
They
cup.
got some skill kids back there and take it all the way. So
Julian Roush, a 31 and a 24 on makes today, a 45-yard miss. It hit the upright, had the distance, but hit the upright early.
you can hear a pin drop inside the stadium.
Oh, boy. Oh,
Julian
boy.
Roush wasn't afraid to hit an upright every once in a while.
All right, 26 seconds to play. 26 seconds away from a day that will change a lot of people's lives. Roush to boot the football away. He will do it. It's a shorter kickoff that will be taken by Minor at the 18-yard line, trying to get
Wrap
the
him
corner.
up.
He is
Wrap him
going
up.
to be pulled down finally at about the 34-yard line. 21 seconds to go, 1 Michigan timeout. All right, how loose do you play if you're ASU now?
Well, you got a little bit of room to work with, David, because I think their field goal kicker is not going to be able to hit anything. If you can keep him outside of your 30-yard line, you're in pretty good shape. But you don't want to take that chance. I mean, you want to only 21 seconds to go. I think you need to play pretty loose, but come up and make plays.
Hart in the shot, or rather, Henne under center. Hart to block. Henny looking for a long pass play. He floats that ball out. It's tipped and nearly intercepted. Good breakup by Justin Wozay, the intended receiver. Greg Matthews at about the 45 on the other side of midfield. Second down and 10, 15 seconds to go.
Wasn't Matthews the kid from Charlotte?
One good advantage, too.
Yeah.
I don't think that they have one
It's a
time
really good receiver.
they're showing on the clock. One time
Arrington, Matthews, Manningham.
They don't have a whole lot of time, period, on the clock. Nor do they have a lot of time to call a timeout, talk strategy. So they got to do something, and they haven't been sharp all day.
Manningham wide to the right-hand side. Henny under center. Hart the setback.
They're going to throw it up for 86.
Henny drifting back in the pocket. Here comes pressure. Henny going to try to launch this one down the field. Wozay is trying to stay with him. The ball is going to be caught, and a flag down. A flag down at the 20. The ball is caught with 6 seconds to go at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, they called it on us.
Flag on the play.
You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. Hadn't tried to throw to him all day. He's the best player on the field.
Decline the penalty. 6 seconds to go. 1 Michigan timeout. A field goal could give it back to the Wolverines here with 6 seconds to play. Oh, my goodness.
Just a jump ball. And Wozay, we talked about that sun being Michigan. So tough. Turned back, looked into the sun, lost the ball a little bit. He did a great job all day of turning and running and making recovery plays.
No way they'll let him kick.
Remember, David, and maybe in the coaches in the replay of that, Fox Sports had the replay on that.
6 seconds left.
Coach Satterfield's so upset. Nobody's out there playing bump and run out there on the outside line.
That's right.
Why is he out there by himself?
Yeah, that's right. Under the light special.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a field goal opportunity.
All right, here we go.
I tell you what, you gotta make some penetration. He's nervous anyway.
It'll be a 37-yard field goal. 37-yard field goal. This is it. This is it right here. Gensel ready. The snap's good. The whole the kick is good. The Mountaineers are going to try to take it back lead to the big house. 30, 20, 15, 10. The Mountaineers have just beaten the Michigan Wolverines. The Mountaineers of Appalachian State have just beaten the Michigan Wolverines in the big house. Oh, my.
Unbelievable.
It is Appalachian State, nation. We just beat the Wolverines at the big house. Oh, my goodness. A second blocked kick in the fourth quarter, and the Michigan Wolverines are out of here.
And that's it.
Wow.
Thank God they cut me off before I started doing the Ric Flair impersonation.
Oh, man.
Fun. But again, you just, I can't help just but think of all the little things that happened. But I guess that's how you win big games, a lot of little things.
Yep.
And guys like you say, David, Hans Badishan, guys that you heard a lot about, but they didn't get the Armani, accolades that he got every week, or what Kevin Richardson got, or even what Corey Lynch got. But there were little guys that came in, not little guys, but guys that came in and did little things that had such a huge impact.
Yep. Leonard Love's interception in that game was huge.
Yep.
Yep.
And, I think defensively we made some great pressure calls and kind of caught Henny in some bad situations. One time we sacked him.
Yeah.
Made some pressure on him because they, like I said, they had some great skill kids at receiver, and Hart going in and out of the lineup, affected the game. But and we made so many plays, like Randy said, there's so many little things that add up to big things when you take a look at the grand scheme of how it turned out.
Well, guys, I'll tell you another thing too, is from my vantage point, being down on the field and being behind the bench and walking back and forth and all of those things. There was not a time that I can remember that those guys ever got down on themselves when they lost the lead at the very end of the game there when things looked like they were in doubt. I don't know that there was a time, and I think Coach Moore, said this for years after this game. I don't think there was a time those guys ever thought they weren't going to win that game. Their demeanor, the way they carried themselves on the field, the way they went to bat for each other, was just an incredible thing to see from the perspective that I was at that day.
We were talking lineman a little while ago, man. John Holt played a whale of a game that day.
Yeah.
He was just done. He was gassed after that thing was over.
I was going to say, how about the plane ride back and how those guys were, you think they'd be hoopla on the plane.
Man, so quiet.
And they were just wiped out, man.
So quiet. Yep. So we landed in Tennessee, and it was actually a safe landing. When we landed in Michigan going up there, we bounced a good 4 or 5 times and hard. It was a softer landing when we came back to Johnson City that night for sure. That was nice. Gosh, I was just going to mention something. I don't know what you got, Brownie.
I was going to say, as Randy mentioned, Coach Moore and that staff had them so well prepared. And getting off to the great start that we did, I thought we really got Michigan defensively on their heels. And then they started established a run on their side of the ball. That's what worried me most, is how both sides of the ball we'd hold up. And that heat, I mean, holding up like we did was amazing. And you got to go back, a lot of credit to Jeff Dillman and his training staff. He had those guys in great shape.
And the shag carpet in the press box held in a lot of that heat too. So it might, the real field temperature in there might have been about 87. So Coach Moore has probably spoken about this game a couple thousand times since it's over with. Probably 5 figures by now. It's been a while. Mike Flynn and I used to joke that every time he would tell the story again, the number of players that played in the game would drop. So, we didn't play a lot of guys. The 2 deep was the 2 deep, and there weren't many substitutions, especially first team O-line, first team D-line, stuff like that. He made the first speech. It was a special day, guys, because there were only 54 people that played in that game. And the next time he gave the same speech, there were only 48 people that played in that game. We knew that at some point in time it was going to get down. There were only 8 guys. We didn't even field the full 11 on both sides of it. We just went with the top 8. It was Armani and Dexter and Wose and some other guys, and we just played all day long. So there's going to be a point in time where there are actually negative players playing in that game. But
you pulled a Norman Dale, huh, and said, "My team is on the field."
Yes. Coach leaned on that a lot, and it was true. It was a very true statement. There were very few substitutions. Those guys played and left it all out there. And the amazing thing, I mean, we go Lenore Ryan, Northern Arizona. I feel like there was another game in there before that. I mean, they were 5-0, 4-0, something like that before they lost that game to Wofford. I mean, they carried the burden of that game for a while, and they were not healthy. Armani was dinged up, and I remember sitting in the lobby of the hotel we stayed at Wofford, and we were all sitting around, and we're having a drink before we go out to dinner or whatever, and the replays on TV again, and it's just like, damn, man, we're tired, and we didn't even play. That was like 5-6 weeks later, but it wore on those guys. It really did.
I thought Coach Moore did a great job in that staff, not only preparing them for the game, but at halftime, when Coach Moore just looked them in the eye and said, "You're getting ready to face, a hungry team. You're going to face what Southern Cal sees, what Notre Dame sees." He did a great job of just keeping it simple and really relating to the kids of what was getting ready to happen.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Every time we listen to that, we win. It's just
good thing.
It keeps happening.
I can't believe I still get goosebumps after all these years.
I know, man. I know. It's also hard to believe that that's 13 years ago this August.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Getting old, man. Getting old.
Crazy.
So, anyway. Well, boys, this was a good one. It's a good one. Quarantine number 6 in the books. You're going on a little vacation, aren't you there, Brownie? Breaking some quarantine rules there?
I don't know. We're thinking about maybe slipping out of town for a couple of days, but work's picked back.
KW, shrimp cocktail?
I think my shrimp cocktail days are done.
I think we need a picture that we can show on the deal next week. If you end up at the beach, you got to have a shrimp cocktail. And we'll see. We'll see what kind of style points it gets. So
we'll let you avoid the K&W. They may not be open right now, but you got to get one.
Yeah. Dad and I used to go to Hyman's a lot. And what was the other one? They're on the market. Wasn't Hyman's, but Charleston Crab House was one. But there was the other one. Something oyster, Noisy Oyster.
Noisy Oyster.
That's right. That was we'd have to go. We'd have to go drink our sorrows away before difficult basketball games there for a while. It was like, we got time to go have a Bloody Mary real quick. Let's go get one.
Hyman was a great place for a Bloody Mary and some oysters or something like that.
Yeah, right down the street from Bobby's house. That's right. So, all right. Well, Brownie, have a safe trip, man.
All right. Later, guys.
All right.
Guys, enjoyed it.
All right. Y'all be good. Thanks for joining quarantine number 6 for Randy Jackson on the Mass General Store sideline. Steve Brown packing up the Winnebago. I'm David Jackson. Hope you enjoyed the Michigan win 13 years later. See y'all.
Have a good week.